Hey, everybody. Welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. This is episode 420. Everybody get your jokes in now. No?
Blaze up.
Sure.
Okay.
Let's smoke this podcast.
These were well thought through. Today
obviously.
is October 5th, 2016. I am Ryan Shrout.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
And I'm Alan Malentano.
And,
I'm Sebastian Teague.
Oh, yeah. Don't forget
I
Sebastian.
forgot there's a fifth person. I forgot. I got to take these sunglasses off.
Full
This is-
house.
It is.
420.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Obviously, I'm not in the studio audience. No, wait, I'm not at the studio.
You're not in the audience?
Both is true.
I kind of am in the audience, I guess, too. I have it open on the other laptop just to see how this laptop handles that stuff. But I am in Panama City Beach doing rugged PC testing. I had to take a specific trip to do it. No other reason for it. I'm quite certain, according to all the accountants that are keeping track of this stuff. So that's why we're out here. But we're still going to do the show, and I don't really know a whole lot of what's going on this week, but we're going to talk about what do we have on here. We have a couple of review. We have a cooler review from Sebastian.
It's pretty much the Sebastian show, so you know.
Is it? Yeah. Damn it! I hate those. Are the worst. Is he on today? Did he introduce himself?
No, I don't think so.
He was in there somewhere.
He tried, but someone cut him off.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody talked over me. But,
Such is life. Welcome to the show, everybody. This is how it's going to go. Obviously, we do record the show on Wednesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific at pcper.com/live. If you're there joining us now, hi. If you're watching this later, you should join us next week. You can do that at pcper.com/live. And if you need a reminder, if you need a gentle little nudge for that, you can go to pcper.com/subscribe, and you'll get this little page here that asks for your name and your email address. And I send out a notification about an hour beforehand or so to let you know that, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is some of the stuff we're going to talk about. Interestingly, today I had no idea what we were going to talk about when I sent the email out. So I just sent it very generically, and I made some reference to Josh in it, of course. I think it was funny. I don't know. I'll have to go back and look. Yeah. We obviously have, we're still running our Patreon campaign. That is at patreon.com/PCPer. If you enjoy the stuff we talk about, if you like the show, if you like the podcast, if you like the website, if you like the videos we do on YouTube, you want us to see us be able to continue to do that type of stuff and expand on it, this is your way to contribute in kind of a recurring monthly fashion. If you use an ad blocker, if you just feel like, Josh deserves a few bucks.
I do deserve a few bucks.
I mean, look at the guy. He's nothing if not worth a few dollars.
I mean, look at my pale skin. Obviously,
basis.
I've been malnourished for the past several weeks.
Now, you did say, Josh, that it was cold where you were at home, right?
Yeah, it was like, it was freezing this morning, and it got up to a high of 41.
Holy moly, that seems early. I mean, I guess it is October.
And we're kind of in the mountains.
So you were super excited when I posted that picture of Emmeline on the beach.
I instantly hated you.
If you just live somewhere within driving distance to a beach, you could just do that.
It
that's
isn't
going to make
everywhere.
everything better.
It's an everywhere driving
He's
distance.
within driving distance to a beach. It's just a hell of a drive.
Yeah.
How
Or a
long
hell
would
of
it
a
take
beach.
you to drive to the closest beach, Josh?
That would be I-80 to California, and that would be 20 hours.
I mean, that's 2x the length of time it takes us to drive to Florida. So
You could drive there and never drive back. It'd be the same.
that's true. It would be very expensive for you. Anyway, patreon.com/PCPer. We really appreciate all the people who support us on that. It means a lot. And as is always the case, if you increase your Patreon contribution or become a new patron during the show, I will read out your name and your update here live on the stream. For example, Glob Bluth pledged $4.20.
That's
He pledged
Job
$4.20.
Bluth. Gosh.
It's what?
Job.
GLOB.
No, Job.
Isn't that a
It's
Arrested Development character?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's spelled GLOB. I don't. Okay. But obviously, this would probably be a frequent number for today's new pledges. 420. We appreciate it regardless of the reason for it. Also, a quick reminder. Jeremy, I guess you can mention this. We are having the 14th virtual LAN party this month, right?
Yep. They're kicking it off on the last Saturday of the month, so October 29th. If you don't have incredibly amazing things to do already, why not spend the day gaming with a bunch of good crew from the PC Perspective forums? A couple of the people you're watching right now may drop by. There will be prizes. I know that there's currently a drive going on behind the scenes for Old Review Kit, and Lenny and the gang always get some interesting stuff from id, AMD, NVIDIA. It's quite a lot of fun. Pop over to the post that I put up, which links you to the forum post, where all you've got to do is say, yes, I'm coming, and as long as you're signed up for the forums, and you're good to go. It goes from 10 a.m. Eastern until sometimes Sunday. It just keeps going. Like, we've got members that join up from overseas and like Finland and Sweden and stuff. So it just keeps going, and there's new faces popping in and out all the time. So if you're not doing anything, you'll have a lot of fun. You might even win some crap. It'll be great.
It's not. We're going to win some stuff. We'll say stuff, not crap. We basically start to pull together some of the review items, mostly just Sebastian's house, and we say, here's all the stuff that we've reviewed that the companies don't want back, that we don't have an immediate use for. Okay, we're going to give it away at this. The virtual LAN parties are a lot of fun. I would recommend you guys check it out if you haven't now. We'll try to remind you between now and October 29th as we go.
Oh, yeah.
Now, before we get into our first review with Sebastian here, the REVEEN Justice, I do want to point out because we talked about it in the pre-show, but we didn't talk about it on the show yet. I think I talked about my trip to Austin, Texas to go see Dell's rugged line of products, and I wanted to just give a quick showcase of what this is here. So this is a 12-inch laptop.
No, it's not.
Yeah, and as I turn it, sand continues to come out of it onto my other laptop. That's not really a great thing for me. So this is the Dell fully rugged 12-inch convertible laptop. And as you can see, it's thicker than most other laptops because it's meant to just get the crap beat out of it, right? Several story falls, maybe you bury it in the sand at the beach, maybe you then rinse it off with you let like the waves crash over it to rinse off some of the salt, and then you just, to actually clean it out, you rinse it with freshwater hose, which is exactly what all this machine went through. And it's working fine. It's an interesting type of device, right? Like, you've got all the ports are obviously, very well sealed. They have these doors that open up on them to give you access to things like USB ports and SD card readers and HDMI and all that. It has a convertible tablet to it. And it's an interesting device. Obviously, it's incredibly expensive compared to consumer devices, but it's built for a totally different audience. So we're going to do some more testing on this, and we'll have kind of a review of this sort. The review will be interesting because it's more like, what can you do with this device that you couldn't do otherwise? Like, maybe you want to give it to your 3-year-old because you don't have to worry about them breaking it or spilling things on it or something like that. But again, it's going to be a little bit on the expensive side for it. But if you have a need to have cars run over laptops, this is the type of device you really need to look for. So I'm excited to give it a shot. I am also excited for the sand to stop coming out of the device.
You can run a car over that with a hinged LCD on it?
With the LCD
The
side up.
LCD out, you said.
Holy crap.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh man! So I can use that instead of cafeteria trays for my drifting.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly.
get two of
I have
those.
been given free reign to do whatever I want to this device.
How
It's already
fire resistant is it?
it's already been budgeted as like
A loss.
possibly destroyed, I guess. Right? So we'll see how it goes. We'll do like interesting performance testing on it, because one of the things that Dell claims on their competitions, the Panasonic Toughbooks, is that like the performance throttles off, right? How's the ingress protection on like the fans and that type of thing, right? So yes, you have fans, but if you maybe bury it in sand, or it gets a bunch of sand and dirt in there, do the fans still work? Can you still run? Does the CPU still run at full performance? Those types of things. So interesting experiments.
We can finally Sebastian water cool it.
Yeah.
Yes, we will finally be able to actually Sebastian water
Just
cool.
put it in an ice water
Ice
bath.
cube cooling system.
Huh.
I'm gonna have to run the vacuum cleaner before
Your
my wife
fingers
comes
will get
back to the
cold, though.
condo. So there's that. That's the Dell rugged stuff, and we actually will have a 14-inch machine come in, a tablet come in, and I think one other device. They're going to send us one of each of their different lines. So that'll be that should be an interesting little comparison there. All right, let's get into the first review here. The REVEEN Justice Tower. Did we lose somebody off the show, by the way?
No?
No?
I'm here.
Okay. Volumes
I'm
all
here.
went up. And usually when that happens when I'm in the studio, it's because we lose somebody on the connection. But that's fine. I can adjust
had
mine
to let
on
my
the side,
dog
too.
out. Does that count?
It depends if that's a euphemism for anything.
It was. I see the video feed.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's talk about the REVEEN Justice Tower. This is yet another one of Sebastian's cooler reviews, although this one in particular is all caps. So I'm excited to learn about it.
Yeah, I was too. I was excited to type in all caps constantly throughout the review. Because
I
as
will
we all
say
know,
this.
it's going to really attract your attention when you're scrolling through Newegg or Amazon when you have all caps.
I will say this. I know, Josh, you type Global Foundries in all caps, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I purposefully do not. I intercap it mostly because I feel like when a company demands that its name be in all caps and it's more than, say, 4 letters, that they're really just
What about
being-
NVIDIA?
they're just kind of being assholes about it,
You know,
right?
it used to be that you'd had to have the small n with the big VIDIA.
Yeah.
And that was even
Yep.
worse.
Yeah, inverse BS. Anyway, that's neither here nor
Power
there.
to the
but
people, Brian.
what's that?
Rage against the machine. Power to the people.
Exactly. Thank you. Yeah, intercap. That's my protest.
I couldn't intercap it. I guess I could have done like the V and REVEN could have been capitalized.
You just pick a random letter.
Only,
Yeah,
capital,
intercap
cap.
is in words.
only capitalize the E's.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
REVEEN. Anyway,
So-
tell me about this bright
So
yellow.
if you are
cooler.
a fan of PC Per and you follow our website and podcasts, you would have seen a tower roundup a couple weeks ago, almost a month ago now. And I was looking at bigger coolers I had around and seeing how well they performed and how well the famous Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo did against them. And then shortly after I began that project, this came in. So I finally reviewed it, and it's very similar in size to a lot of those other coolers. It's a pretty tall tower. It's a little bit slimmer than, you know, some of the like the Legrand Macho or that Scythe Ninja 4 I looked at, but still pretty big. Although it has a 120 millimeter fan, and it's cheap. It's a $42 cooler on Newegg. I can't find it anywhere else easily, but they shipped it to us with a secondary fan as well, and that fan I found online for less than $8. So your total investment here, if you do dual fan, is still around $50. And if you look at it, I mean, it looks pretty much like you'd expect a modern single tower, single fan cooler to look. This one has 6 heat pipes. It's got a nice finish to it. It's nickel plated, solid copper on the base and the heat pipes. Typical aluminum fins. The mounting system is good. It's, I'd say, on par with what I've seen from Scythe. It's kind of like a hybrid of a couple different brands I've seen out there. The base plate actually was particularly nice because when you put the posts through, they actually stay in place with rubber washers, and it only took like 2 minutes to mount the thing on my motherboard. So then I was off to see how it performs. No clearance issues or anything. By the way, it sits so tall that I have no worries unless you have really tall RAM, and you could always put the fan on the opposite side if that's an issue, unless you're on an X99 board. But performance wise, with 2 fans under stress, at stock speeds, it matches the NHD 14. And it was very, very close at load. And then by the time both CPUs, like both runs were stressed, they had matched each other exactly 30.8 degrees delta on my runs. And a little bit lower temps for the Noctua at idle, but that was it. Under load, the single fan was only a little bit worse, and in fact, virtually tied with that bigger, more expensive Legrand Macho cooler. So it's significantly better performance than a Hyper 212 Evo for about $10 to $15 more. And then you're actually getting up there with the big dogs like the $70, $80 coolers as well. And then when I overclocked the CPU, this is a 6-core processor. I had it running at 4 gigahertz on all cores. I locked the cores for the overclock. And once again, well, it didn't exactly tie. It came within 0.7 degrees of tying the Noctua again with two fans. And then was right there exactly tied with the Legrand Macho again at 56.8 degrees. So very, very impressive results. If you look at noise levels, it's only it's about 4 to 5 decibels louder than the Noctua. So it's significant. 4 and 5 decibels is much louder than it sounds as far as a difference goes, but still, even at the fastest RPMs I could push out of the fan was just a shade under 40 decibels. And the 212 Evo it goes over 40 at load. It goes like 42, 43 decibels under load. So, and that's not even a loud cooler at all. So the numbers don't look that great on this chart, but it's because it's up against 3 of the quietest coolers I've ever used, and then the Evo, which is more like a mainstream normal volume level that you won't really notice in your case.
Gotcha.
So you would not hear this running in your average case. You certainly won't hear it running over your GPU fan. And it's less than $50, even if you opt for the 2-fan setup, like you see at the end of the review. And I had nothing bad to say about it at this price point, basically. Fantastic. It mounted well. It posed no clearance issue. Great performance, low cost. If you like the sort of Bumblebee color scheme, even better. If it fits with your build, but that's the only thing I can think of. Like if you don't like the yellow and black fans.
DFI.
But I gave it the editor's choice just because performance, cost, too good not to.
Those are like the old DFI colors.
Yep.
Yeah.
LAN party.
Yep.
Do you think you could get an extra decibel or two out of it if you had higher end fans? Like, are the fans kind of that low to mid range quality, or are they decent fans?
They were a little bit lower. You could tell, just even at idle, even though they weren't producing a lot of noise, you could hear kind of that some noise coming from the bearing, and that's what really caused the volume to go up. If you put a couple Noctua fans on this thing, or scythe fans, or any low noise fans, I'm sure that the heatsink itself, the way it mated to the CPU, everything was, I think, tight enough that the fans. I think it was just the volume of the actual the bearing. That's the word I'm thinking of.
Do those clips to hold the fans on come with the heatsink or the fans?
Came with the fans, I think. No, it was in the bag with the heatsink accessories.
Okay. So then you can just get whatever fans you want. You don't have to worry about. Okay.
And those clips were interesting. Like they're sort of held in place by pressure. I mean, they're a clip, but still, like they barely are attached to the fan until
like
you
any
clip
other
them.
clip.
Yeah, that's supposed to be the other kind of clip. Until you push them onto the heatsink, they're just kind of flopping around on the fan, but they would fit a variety of fans. They're only sticking to one side of the fan.
Yeah.
I would like to thank this review, if only because I got to hear the name Legrand Macho once again brought up on our podcast. So there's that. That's the REVEEN Justice. Before we get into the next review, we do have some incoming pledges for the Patreon campaign. Money for Ganj. Also, I love Kansas basketball.
I'm surprised you said that.
Yeah. Edited their pledge from 1984 to 2420. So I like that there. Thank you. Just pledged $9.99. So thank you. And sure, the guy in the $3,000 suit is going to donate. Come on, just edited their pledge from $12 to $13.
Yet another Arrested Development reference.
Okay,
Yes.
I was like,
Buckle in. We're gonna have a lot of them apparently.
it's like what? I don't. Okay. Good enough. Thank you guys very much. Let's get into the Silverstone Strider Platinum 550 power supply review. Again, we often do reviews of 1200 to 1500 watt power supplies, it seems. But Lee did have a review go up this week of a more modestly wattaged, if that's a verb. I guess I just made it one. Power supply, 550 watts, 80 plus platinum. So very, very, very good efficiency. What do we have here? This series is available from 550 up to 850 in 100-watt increments, but high efficiency, quiet, fluid dynamic bearing fans on it, and it does have. This is probably still a bit on the expensive side in terms of price. $109 for a 550-watt power supply.
It's 150 or 140 mil size.
Okay, so it's small as well.
It's small, so you pay more.
Yeah, a lot of people are gonna look at that and go, you can get an EVGA B series 500-watt power supply for what, $35, $45 or something. So the power supplies are one of those things, and I think what you've seen is a market that really kind of has matured in the way that like keyboards have or monitors have. Yes, you can get a $125 monitor that's going to do 1080p, and it will play your games and it will display your windows and will do all that stuff. And it's just a matter of like, what side benefits do you want? What quality improvements do you want? What kind of warranties do you want? And power supplies are a little bit murkier than that, but it's the same idea of, yeah, you can get a 500-watt power supply for $35. Do you care about efficiency? Do you care about long life? Do you care about the potential for things to jack up the rest of your components in your system? Not that I think any particular power supply would do that, but you're paying for higher quality components, and in this case, the inside of that actually looks more bare than I expected it to, even at the 140 mil length.
It's just because at that lower wattage, you just don't.
They
need.
could have made that smaller.
Well,
Then it would have been an SFX.
true.
Yeah, and it would cost even more.
Yeah.
True. Lee liked this power supply line. Did get a gold award. Very good efficiency, very good voltage regulation, clean DC output, low ripple and noise. The only weaknesses were the price premium for the 80 plus platinum certification, right? Which is what we've kind of been harping on here. So it's an incredibly good power supply unit, and I think actually I just saw an email go by that we may be getting some even lower wattage than this, maybe some of them 350 to 450 range, to try to see where people building lower performance PCs might fall into.
Like 450 watts isn't a lower performance PC these days.
That's true.
Well,
An i5 with a 1070 in it is well within 350 watts if you don't have a lot of drives in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't even need to be using the iGPU. You could actually have a discrete and be going.
Yeah, something like what's it? So you're talking about, let's say, under 100 watts for your processor and motherboard, 150 watts for 155 watts for GTX 1070.
Yep.
Add in a little bit of extra.
Couple of watts
there, yeah.
for your
So
SSD.
400 watt unit,
Done.
350 watt unit would be able to do that, but it seems weird to talk about that. We were so used to 1200 watt power supplies for a long time.
Hell, that used to be a GPU.
Hell, my Athlon XP was a 450 watt power supply with the blue LEDs from Antec, and that thing lasted for ages. It was a beast.
Yeah.
The good old days.
I guess the good old days, like I guess.
Except,
What are
of
you
course,
talking
all
about?
the
Josh
Iron
quit
Gate
using that,
issues
like
with
last
AMD
summer?
processors, chipsets, AGP4X.
Yep.
All right,
I'm
let's
going
get
to go ahead and
into
turn down this AGP to 2X just so it'll work with this video card. Okay, never mind. I'm just going to do PCI 66.
Yep.
Wishing you didn't have to worry about the frequencies getting out of sync.
Those were the
Okay, you
days.
know what? That was not the good old days. The more I think about it.
No?
Yeah, no, I'm going to have to go with no. Let's get into our news items for this week. Sebastian, you wrote up a post for the Logitech C922 Pro Stream webcam.
That's right.
Which is actually the webcam that is transmitting my image across the interweb and back to you all. They sent us a sample unit, and I just happened to be leaving for this trip, and I went, "Oh, hey, a webcam!" And I threw it in the bag with me and set it up, and it looks like that. I even have the really cool little tripod that it came with. So what's from what I understand, there's not a whole lot of new stuff about this unit. Is that right?
No, it's
Sebastian?
like a new multi-element glass lens, I think, and then the big thing is that it can do 60 frame per second streaming now. It's only at 720, but 720 60 over, I think, Skype for Windows only, and then Twitch.
Okay.
I want to say it was like Windows only functionality.
Like
you're
the
pretty right on
Skype, is it like
Yeah, it was
Skype
Skype.
for desktop Windows app, or just like the I don't know. I probably both.
Well, I know OS 10. I don't think they use the. So the C920 did onboard H.264 encoding, which is how you could get high quality for low bandwidth, and I don't think OS 10 supports that. So that would explain how they can't get the
Okay.
high frame rate out of it.
Because like right now, I don't know. I mean, this is not a fair comparison, right? Like because I might be sending 60 FPS back to Ken, but we're encoding it and sending it back out to YouTube at 30, so it doesn't really matter what I'm sending in this regard. But
he only picks the best frames of those 60.
Handpicked.
you
Yeah.
can
You can
individually
see-
goes through them. Yeah.
You can see what you're transmitting if you like. There's an options pull down in Skype. You can get
It's
your.
probably doing 1080p.
It's probably doing. Yeah, if it's doing 1080p, then it won't be at 60.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think. I mean, if you install their software, they probably let you force it to 720p 60 if
I
that's
don't
an
know.
option now.
I've never seen any I've never seen any way for webcam software to override Skype.
Yeah, because like
what I mean?
there would be no way for 720p 60 to work with Skype because Skype would just negotiate to 1080p 30 if you can't select.
That's what I said to Ryan the other day when the camera came in. I was like, yeah, Skype's just gonna like blow right past the 720p if you're. Fun fact: Skype scales that based on the size of the window on the other side.
Oh, really?
Like if you have a small window on the other side,
You mean
like it might
this?
not even. Yeah, like a small window like that.
Run better.
Yeah, it'll actually send, like you wouldn't you'd think it's kind of backwards, but it's like, I was doing some Skype tests with Twit because I had like modem issues I was trying to troubleshoot, right, and Burke like minimized the window on me. He thought he closed the connection, but he just minimized the window, and I thought my connection was acting up because my send bandwidth went down to almost nothing. But it was just because the window was minimized, which makes total sense, right? Like, if you're not watching the video on the other end, why would you bother transmitting it? It's like, wow, they actually were smart about that.
Yeah, he's sending
Sweet.
1080p 30 right now at 5 megabits. Go
5
you.
megabits.
Hey,
Sweet.
The internet at the beach got better since the last time I was here. What can I say?
Nice.
Yeah.
but yeah, it's the
go ahead.
C920 is so good. Like that's what we're all using and have been for how many
That's
years
the
now?
default option. Like
It was
it's
like,
absolutely the webcam to buy.
Yep.
So they kind of put themselves into a corner. It's like, well, how can we get people to upgrade?
Yeah.
Like this thing is awesome. So this is an interesting little jump and a decent price too. What were they saying? About the same as the other one, $100.
Yeah, $99.
$99.99.
Yeah,
Don't mention the
$99.99.
green
I think it's
screen.
available in 2 options. Is that right, Sebastian? Like
Yeah, there's one that comes with a shorter version of the XSplit license and a tripod, and then there's a version that's going to be, I think, Amazon exclusive that doesn't come with the tripod but has a 6-month license instead.
One
I
of
don't
the
know how
things
much
that
that costs per
Logitech
month,
talked
but-
to me about when they were going over this was the software changes. Like the new version of the software is going to allow it to do that. The virtual green screen, I guess, is that I don't know if that's a terminology for it, but like where they can cut out your background even though you don't have a green screen behind you, and apparently it's able to do that even though it only has a single lens. Right? We've
Yes.
seen. the Intel stuff be able to do that with its multi.
Yeah, the Razer RealSense
stuff.
camera can do that.
Yeah, well, apparently the Logitech software for this, which I didn't have time to install into my laptop yet, will allow you to do that as well. So whether or not that's compatible with the C920 or just the 922, I don't really know. But something we'll get into a little bit more once I bring this device back. So, but you're right. It's like the C920 was the go-to default webcam for everybody for a long time. So.
Yeah, the webcam software for the C920 still shows as October 2012.
Okay, well, that's quite a while.
So there you go. Well, maybe they just haven't updated it, and because that camera just came out. So
True. So who wants to talk about? Who knows about the latest NVIDIA low power Xavier SoC for autonomous vehicles? Josh, did you read anything about this? About what NVIDIA kind of discussed or launched at GTC Europe in Amsterdam, which I'm suddenly very disappointed I wasn't invited to attend?
420, right?
Word.
Yeah.
Could have recorded it from
I've
there.
know very little. It's 512 CUDA cores, I think. It's something like 8-core CPU, which is based, I think, on just not Denver, but some of the licensed ARM processors.
Volta.
It's a custom ARM. So, but they didn't tell us what it was. But it wasn't Denver, because you're not going to be able to fit 8 Denvers into that smallest spot. So
Right.
512 CUDA cores. TDP only 20 watts, so that can fit easily in your trunk. Just like your big boombox amplifiers in your Tesla, Ryan.
So, but this is using
Volta cores.
this is Volta GPU cores.
Yeah, that's
Which-
next generation stuff.
Yep.
They're
How far
announcing
out
it
is this
now,
product?
but when are they going to ship that? It's going to be
Yeah.
a while.
Didn't they say samples like a lot sooner than you'd expect Volta? Like they gave a sample date, right, for like education partners and OEMs.
I know they were talking 2017 for more details,
Yeah.
at least.
Maybe it was
but-
something else. I'm
It's
thinking of.
going to be a while. This is going to be a second type. I mean, they're going to release the big stuff first on Volta, and this is going to be shortly after.
Yeah.
I mean, the
But
automotive
one day my
industry
car can
moves-
run on a Titan X.
one day.
No.
Yeah, just pop it out, plug in the new one. Damn it.
Not a chance.
My autopilot is so much faster. I'm going 120 down the skyway.
Hey, you laugh.
I mean, if you
Give it
if you
20
look at
years.
this table, if you look at this table on this story that Tim put together, right? Like the NVIDIA Xavier is 20 teraops compared to the Drive PX2, which is 24 teraops. But if you look at the wattage comparison, the TDP of Drive PX2 is 250 watts, and the TDP of Xavier is 20 watts. So the idea that they're getting close to the same performance of the Tegra X2, two Tegra X2s with one Xavier SoC at less than a tenth of the power consumption on the same 16 nanometer FinFET process tech.
Go back
is-
to that. Go
pretty
back to
impressive.
that.
Well, they did
And
say FinFET
there's something
Plus.
that you should notice.
Yes.
Look at the standard single teraflops.
Question mark.
Big question mark. So
Yeah.
It should be 4.2.
maybe.
Where
Was
do
that
you get
too
4.2?
obscure a 420 joke?
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
That was more of a Hitchhiker's Guide joke.
Well, also. but-
I noticed where I looked it up. They said Q4 2017 to automakers, tier 1 suppliers, startups, and universities. So initial samples
Okay.
in Q4 of 2017.
so we got a while.
Yeah, but that's probably a lot sooner than you would have guessed if you were throwing out guesses, right?
Yeah.
If they hit that.
Yeah.
That's a big if.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's like just a chopped down version of their next generation of like what was our last product that had a bunch more of the double precision type functionality involved. It's just
For
the
mobile
previous
or
generation
for
Titan
full
X,
size?
right?
Like Fermi?
He's talking desktop.
Have they done that since the original Titan?
I don't know. I don't know
I
if
don't
they
think
have
so.
or not. It'd be interesting if they did, because this is certainly an area that
They only
would
care-
kind of benefit. I know they talk about
They only care about half precision anymore. They only care about innate. Deep learning.
deep learning, but this
Have you heard about it?
That's where the money is, bro.
Wise.
8 is enough.
All right, Alan, you want to tell me about the another Drobo launch that looks just like all the previous Drobos from this picture you have on the story?
No,
but
it's different.
somehow.
It's different. There's one more bay.
They've made 5-bay Drobos before.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
So no, it's not any different.
Well, so they came out with that 4-bay Gen 3 Drobo like it was like a year and a half ago or something like that.
Okay.
And the key with that was the performance was pretty good. Sequentials were like 200 meg per second. But it was like $350, right? It was real cheap. It was like half the price of typical Drobos, like those 5-bay Drobos that were out
Sure.
at the time, like the 5D from Drobo, not Canon. Right, ran like $650 or something like that. And then that 4-bay model got updated, basically had the same performance as the 5D, if not maybe a little bit faster, because the USB interface was like a little bit newer and more compatible and would go higher speeds and whatnot by a little bit. But that thing was only $350, and not only that, but when it launched, like when we put our review up, like it was on Amazon for like $280 or something. So it was like pretty dang cheap compared to what Drobos used to be. Well, this is a 5-bay model, and I've already got all the testing done on it. We got a sample in. It's probably going to go up early tomorrow if I can just get the rest of the article in the system. Performance is basically the same as the 4-bay, so it's good. It's not like spectacularly better or anything like that. It's basically
Like, give me a number.
It's still like it's a little bit over 200 meg per second, like reads and writes.
Okay.
You know, it's reasonably fast for USB. But 5 bays, so it doesn't hurt as badly when you turn on the dual disk redundancy option and you're, giving away 2 hard drives worth of capacity. If you fill this thing with, say, 5 8 terabyte drives, you can have dual redundancy and you can still have like 24 terabytes. Or 36 if you only want single drive redundancy. 36 terabytes in a box that small, and when that box itself, without the hard drives, only costs like $350. It's not bad.
Okay.
And you get all those same features, all the,
So let me ask this: there are a ton of NAS devices out there. First of all, a DAS, as they call it, is just what?
Just direct attached instead of network attached.
Okay, it's just not network attached. So, what would be a comparable product to this that makes this seem like a good deal? Right? Like, are we looking at like Promise-based devices? Are we looking at
Yeah, it'd have to be like a Promise, like a Thunderbolt external RAID or something like that.
But that should, in theory, go way faster. Like the one that
Those go way faster, yeah.
the 5-year-old one we have that's 4-bay goes a gigabit a second over Thunderbolt.
True,
1.
they go way faster, but that is a pure RAID. That doesn't do any of the Drobo Beyond RAID stuff. Which is fine as long as you're not mixing and matching drive capacities, and as long as you're not, like, you just have to realize that when it does a rebuild, it has to rebuild everything front to back, right? Whereas the Beyond RAID stuff only rebuilds the space that you actually have files on the drive.
right.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just kind of different. Like, and not only that, but the Promise RAID it's like a regular RAID. Like, regular RAIDs do weird things when, like, Ryan, you've had regular RAIDs do weird things to you, right?
So yeah, but
you know.
so the big selling point on this is still the convenience capability, the usability capability of the Drobo system. I guess I'm still just kind of surprised that nobody else has duplicated that at this point. Drobo's been doing this for such a long time.
Yeah. I mean, they kind of got it right with with how they. I mean, we reviewed that original Drobo Pro like 6 or 7 years ago or
At
something like
least.
that. I'm still using that thing.
Yeah.
Like it's the backup drive at my house, right? That thing has yet to so much as hiccup.
Yeah.
And-
I feel like you buried the lead here. It's the Drobo 5C. What's new with it, Alan?
Oh, what do you mean?
It's the Drobo 5C.
Well, yeah, there is that. It's the port on the back of it is USB-C, Type-C connector, but it's still 5 gigabit.
Yeah.
So it's not doing USB 3.1.
It's doing USB 3.1 Gen 1, as the marketers would like you to say.
Honestly, I think it didn't need that Type-C port on the back because the cable they include is a Type-C to a Type-A.
They don't give you a Type-C to a Type-C cable.
No, they don't give you a Type-C to Type-C cable because they probably looked at it and went, well, the majority of the stuff that people are going to plug this into it has Type-A, or it has both. There's only one product that only has a Type-C. It's that MacBook.
I mean, they're not wrong.
So, it's like, it makes sense. Like, they didn't have to explain this to me.
But
I
gotta do something with the Type-C ports on my new motherboard.
Well, I mean, so if you're in the group that has a device, a laptop that only has Type-C, you probably own some C2C cables because you probably have bought some.
Well, it's not the fact that it only has Type-C, but like a lot of motherboards have 1 or 2 Type-C ports now. So
that's true.
Something to plug into one of those would be a nice selling point.
Yeah, and you don't have to worry so much about the quality of the cable. Like I know some knockoff, like kind of cheesy Type-C cables, like have bad power delivery and like catch on fire and stuff like that. But this is data only, right? Because the Drobo itself is powered separately. So all it's using is data lines. Those shouldn't catch on fire.
Just ask Samsung. It's fine.
It's not a Samsung Type-C to Type-C cable, so nothing to worry about there. One other thing is that this model supports up to 64 terabytes of a partition. So remember that a Drobo, when you format a volume on a Drobo, the volume size that it presents to your operating system is always like the maximum that it can handle, that it can address. It's not necessarily the maximum that it can store. Right? They do that so that, again, it falls in line with like the ease of use thing, right? Like you want to just make it so that if a user just adds another drive, you don't want them to have to do any other steps. So all you do is you just add another drive and it just figures it out, and you didn't even have to change your partition size under Windows. Right, because it's already very large, or as large as it can handle. That used to be an issue. Like even on the Drobo Pro, it ran into an issue pretty quickly because it had a 16 terabyte limit.
Yeah, and that's an 8-bay device.
And it was an 8-bay device. Now, granted, when it came out, like 2 terabyte drives were like the most you could get at the time, right? But that's pretty quickly became a limit. And Drobo has updated that protocol since, and there were.
But did they update the newer 4-bay one as well, or is this only a 5-bay feature?
I think the 4-bay Gen 3 does 32. This one does 64.
So if I try to shove 10 terabyte drives in it, it would go. Well, no, I guess redundancy.
Well, now realize you can still you just have to make a second volume.
Yeah, but that's annoying.
It is annoying. I don't like having multiple volumes.
Nope.
Yeah, I have to have 3 volumes on the Drobo Pro. That's home for me to address all of the space of all the drives that are in it, just because of the 16 terabyte limit. It's kind of annoying, but and as another test that I did, which I'll talk about more next week, but I took the disk pack that was in the 4-bay and I moved it. It had some files on it. I moved it straight to the new 5C, and it immediately picked it up. There wasn't a migration. It was just it just showed up. So if you're, if you have the 4-bay model and it's full of drives and you want to fill the, you want to put something in the 5th bay, it's literally just like a move the disk pack, shut the Drobo down, move the disk pack over the new one. You're back up and running. All your stuff's still there.
Does it have to be in order?
No, it doesn't.
Order.
It doesn't care.
Your disk 1 needs to be disk 1 because that's got the RAID information on it?
No, Drobo's put the RAID info on all the disks. The metadata goes on all the disks. Yeah, that's part of what makes them so robust. It's that same kind of, the Beyond RAID stuff that they do is the same kind of stuff that I tried very hard to break with the original Drobo Pro. I was,
should have just given it to Ryan.
Yeah. Well,
I was say RAID
Ryan,
0
you had a
spreads the data over all the disks too. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, it just does. You couldn't take. Yeah, RAID 0, Deathwish RAID. But
a 4 disk RAID 0. All that information, it requires all 4 disks, so it's the same as the Drobo.
Yeah.
Right?
Drobos get other stuff like they put a reasonably large battery inside of them.
What's reasonably large?
We got a review coming next week. Let's move on.
It's like
Is that kind of like
18650
rats of unusual size?
No, it's one of the batteries out of
Reasonably large battery.
Rodents of unusual size?
Yes.
Batteries.
It's one of the batteries out
Buses.
of Ryan's Tesla.
Oh no!
Is in a Drobo.
So it's a portable Drobo. Noted.
It's a portable
Yeah,
Tesla.
let's talk more. We'll talk more about it next week, and we can debate the positives and negatives of Drobo technology in general. Let's see what else we have on here. Oh, the GTX 1050 Ti rumors surfacing again with the GP107. This time we actually have a picture of the GPU. Is that right, Sebastian?
It's so cute.
It is. It's very small. If these pictures are real, and then there's another picture that shows the label where they're pointing to it. Look, it says
The guy's pretty clear. He's like, hey, it's
Look,
right there,
idiot.
dude.
I didn't just print the sticker on a Dymo labeler. It's real.
Because I can point to it. I didn't print it out.
Yeah.
So
He's actually
apparently
has to
there's a
hold it down because the
GP107.
sticker is so bad. It
Or
would fall
or
off.
the
Oh, I
serial
know.
number.
I know what he's doing. Yeah, he's covering up the serial.
Okay, yeah.
fine.
I won't get
Okay.
fired because they won't be able to trace it back to me.
Yeah. Even though you can actually read the whole barcode if you wanted to.
You can't read the whole barcode.
He's not covering all of the barcode.
Yeah, you could if you tried real hard.
If you wanted
Yeah,
that
you'd figure out
barcode,
a
you
way
can
to
go.
do
you'd
it.
have
also,
You have to
also I
zoom in
recognize those
and
fingernails.
enhance.
Oh.
Ken.
It's not Ken.
Hey, Ryan,
Getting
where
a
do you
lot
think I
better
got
at
the photos
Photoshop,
from?
Ken.
So what are we looking at here, Sebastian? Other than a bunch of text I can't read. Looks
Yeah.
like 4 gigs of memory.
Yeah, they're saying it's going to have 4 gigs of RAM. It's just GDDR5, 128-bit
It's from
bus.
It won't catch fire. It's fine.
Yeah.
All right.
Say that now.
You don't know. that.
And the
Boy,
clocks,
those
who
clocks
knows
are
if
not
this
real
is like-
aggressive.
The clocks could be specific to this model. This is a Chinese prototype for a retail card, supposedly. So if you go on the source link to video cards, they have a couple of links to like the Baidu page where they got some of this stuff. And if you
Hell
believe
yeah.
it, it's probably coming soon once you start to see prototype board shots, but we'll see.
Oh, they got benchmarks.
The one
Is
interesting
this,
thing I thought from this
is
was
this
that
supposed
the
to
board,
be a powerless no power
right,
connector
that's
card?
what I was going to say. The board in that picture has a 6-pin power connector. This is supposedly a 75-watt.
Yeah, but if it's a
Outlet.
partner card,
Yeah.
they do stuff.
But look how
Yeah, the
empty the
750 Ti
board
did that.
looks. It's just like, why would you make a card that big when you have all that empty space?
I don't disagree.
You don't have to redesign a cooler.
Yeah, there's
Probably.
probably some of that to it. It's just ease of use on their side. I'm
That's like
curious
putting
to see what this part
smartphone
is.
SoC inside of like a 65-inch TV. Like, do
Right. Who
you
would
need
do
the housing
that?
to be that big?
Can't imagine who'd do.
The 750 Ti was a really, really cool and interesting graphics card. So I want to see if this lives up to that. I don't know. I think it could be pretty interesting. But yeah, Josh is right in that the clock speeds aren't very aggressive. So it maybe worries me a little bit that the performance delta here isn't going to be that impressive. But we'll see, I guess.
Maybe.
Google launches high-end Pixel smartphones. I know Ken has already ordered one of each because he just loves to spend money on phones.
I'm
He
a
likes
giant
to-
Android fanboy.
He likes colors.
I like Very Blue.
So, Very Blue was only available in the 32 gig capacity and not 128.
Really?
Weird.
Yeah.
But you know what? People still scooped it up because who wouldn't want to buy a phone called Very Blue?
I've been
Or, I'm
cha-
sorry, Really Blue.
Yeah, I've been changing the adjective
stream.
every time I refer to it.
It's
Sometimes
very
it's profanity.
Black,
I
white,
mean,
silver and really blue. And it's the phone is called the Pixel.
Is the one on the right once you go black?
I don't.
No,
Their
it's
branding
very-
on these is dreadful, and the industrial design is literally just let's rip off Apple.
No,
This
no,
looks
no.
like an
It's got
iPhone
a dual
6.
finish on the back.
Well, okay. I mean,
it
other
looks
than
like
finish,
all of HTC's phones that they've ripped
Yeah,
off
it's-
the iPhone 6,
but,
6S,
right,
and
this
7
is made
on.
by HTC, so I guess that makes sense.
But no ugly camera bump.
But don't worry, Google
No
says they
ugly
designed it
scratchable camera
completely.
bump.
Google says HTC is just making it. They designed it. Except
Yeah.
it looks exactly
Sure
like
they
an
did.
HTC 10.
Yeah.
What are the hardware specs on this, Sebastian? What stands out? It's a Qualcomm.
It's the Snapdragon
right?
821. So
Okay.
you have a performance boost over the 820. Slightly. The 821 has higher clocks essentially, but it's the same cryo cores, the same 2+2 design. It's a quad core. That actually does pretty well in benchmarks. Then you have the big selling point of this. You're looking at phones that are going to compete kind of neck and neck with an iPhone, except you have a 5-inch 1080p, and then the 5.5 is actually 1440, unlike a 6 or 7 Plus, which is the 1080p version.
And
But
they're
these
OLED
are
too, aren't they?
AMOLED.
yeah, AMOLED displays. And if you have seen the display on like the Nexus 6P or even the Motorola Nexus 6, very, very nice looking OLED displays. The Nexus 6P had an edge over the 6, but a very, very high-end camera on this as well. There's been more talk about the camera than anything else because DxOMark has the highest rating for any smartphone camera ever with this phone. They gave it a score of 89 to the iPhones. What does it say here? The iPhone had like an 86, I think. So very close, but still the highest. And it's a Sony IMX378 sensor. And the pixel size is large, 1.55. So it should be very good low light performance. And it's capable of, 4K video and all the other good stuff. So we shall see. It sounds
dollars?
very impressive on paper as far as beautiful screen, very, very high-end camera, and that's really what matters to a lot of people.
How about them dollars, though?
Yeah, the premium pricing model for this. So when the Nexus first came out years ago with the Nexus 1, I think that was actually an HTC phone.
I think, yeah, sounds about right.
The Nexus was a way to get the stock Android experience into the developers' hands at a low price. These were always unlocked phones. You didn't go to a carrier store and buy them. You bought them straight through Google. And, somewhere around $300 to $350, you could buy the brand new Nexus phone every year. I got into the Nexus series with the 4, and that was $349. And the Nexus 5 was another $300 to $400 phone. And then when the Nexus 6 was announced, this was after the acquisition of Motorola, they decided we're going to go through carrier stores and we're going to charge $649 for this. And it's going to be just like any other 2-year contract phone. And they didn't sell any of them. And the Nexus 6 was a disaster. I would love to see the actual sales numbers. I'm sure they're probably out there somewhere. But it was dreadful. All I needed to know about my Nexus 6 phone was when I got the urge to upgrade, as I do about every 3 or 4 weeks, I went on eBay and the value there was no value. I could have sold it for a $400 loss whenever I wanted to. And it was just sitting in stock everywhere, being marked down when they came out with the next generation, I was like, okay, good, return to form for Nexus. The 5X came out at $349, and you had the 6P, which was the premium phone, but it was a premium phone. It had a better display, it had a better camera, and it was more expensive. It was like $500 to $600, depending on the model. And you could still get that 5X and have that Nexus experience, which is a cheap phone with the absolute latest version of Android. And now they're back to the Nexus 6 game again. But it's not Nexus anymore. I mean, the Nexus, they got everything they could out of the Nexus 6 name. You had the Nexus 6P and the 6, and then they went back in time with the 5X, even though that was kind of like the Nexus 6.5. And the Nexus 7 has been sitting out there as a 7-inch tablet for how many years now? Since the launch of Android 4. And apparently they didn't want to call it the phone the 7 as well. And Pixel is their super expensive Chromebook line.
Which
that-
they've sold like 10 of.
Yeah, they've
And
sold 10
thankfully
of
is
to
pretty
their
much
biggest
doomed to
evangelists in the industry. So
I mean, who doesn't want a $1,500 Chromebook with an i7 in it?
when I want to browse Chrome on the go, I want to do it on an insanely high resolution screen with really just razor thin a MacBook Air-like enclosure and a fast SoC. I don't understand. Like, even on sale, I think those things are still $1,000.
Yeah. And then they had the Pixel C, which was their $1,000 Android tablet that no one bought.
All right. So, for whatever reason, Pixel branding on the new Nexus 7.5 or whatever this is, I can't imagine it selling at $650. I would be very strongly tempted by this if it came out at like $499. Because I think it, on paper anyway, it looks like a compelling $500 to $550 phone. But there are those quote-unquote pure Google experiences out there from other phone makers, including Motorola still, and they're not even owned by Google anymore. There are people who on principle wouldn't buy a Motorola phone, I'm sure, because of concerns about... I'm sure we always get like comments about security and that sort of thing, but regardless of who is making these phones, Huawei is the number 3 phone maker in the world, and Motorola's stuff is still really nice hardware. Their Motorola, like the Moto G and the Moto Z, I think the latest version of the G is actually around $250, $300, has a virtually untouched version of Android on it and a really nice camera. So the options are out there if you want stock Android. The only thing you're not going to be able to get on another phone is the special Pixel launcher, which they are going to make exclusive to this, just like they made the launcher on the Nexus exclusive to the Nexus for a long time.
I'm curious to see what the reviews come up with this. I don't know about their pricing scheme, their pricing target. I almost feel like they're just pricing it higher to make it stand out above other Android devices out there that are
but it's the same price as an S7.
Say again?
Same price as an S7 though, which is the most popular Android phone.
And that's, I think that's what they want this to be considered as, right? Not a 1 + 3 or something like that. That I think people may incorrectly assume is a subpar phone because it's only $399 or whatever it is, right?
They're sourcing the panels from the same places, and you're using the same SoC. And
I don't disagree.
At some point, it kind of comes down to how it's skinned and what the camera sensor is. But there's obviously no skin on stock Android or any of the pure Google stuff out there. The Google Play Edition phones, if you can find them. But you can find IMX sensors. There was a pretty good sensor in the Nexus 6, a great one in the Nexus 6P. This one has a good one too, but there's a lot of phones out there with good camera sensors that don't cost $650 that also have AMOLED screens. And the other thing I'll bring up, because we were talking about the pricing, it's going to be sold through carrier stores exclusively at Verizon stores. So they have an exclusivity deal with Verizon. You can still buy it at google.com/Nexus, like any other Nexus phone, unlock GSM. But
probably not Nexus, but I get your point.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it'll redirect for you.
Yeah.
We'll get a 404.
All right. A couple more items here we'll get through real quick. AMD releases Radeon Software Crimson Edition 1610.1. Jeremy, what stands out here?
Well, if you're someone who likes Gears of War or Mafia, this is the sort of game-ready driver of AMD's for those two games. And it also fixed crossfire issues with Shadow Warrior 2, which doesn't really exist yet, but there are still some people playing it in early access. It also fixes a bunch of other crossfire issues with some games that are out and some like BF1 that aren't quite released yet. Apart from that, I actually did the upgrade just before the podcast to see if their in-app updater is working much better than it was, and it is. It's actually nice and clean and worked perfectly.
That's a good sign. It's a good sign.
Apart from that, not much changed.
Yeah. Before we get to our last news item, I did get another update to a Patreon that came in that said, this is an interesting way of get questions in on the show. What is your opinion on Twitch Prime and Kindle Prime plus Amazon Prime? Just edited their pledge to $6.16. Someone's going to have to tell me what we're talking about here. Twitch Prime and Kindle Prime to Amazon Prime?
I don't know what Kindle Prime is. I know vaguely what Twitch Prime is.
What is that?
So you get it if you have Amazon Prime. You just have to opt in, I think, and link your accounts. But it's ad-free, and you get a free Twitch subscription to one person. Mm-hmm. So like the premium sort of subscription, and something, and like discounts on games, which you already get with Prime. So I don't know if they're different discounts.
Well, I just got a notice about this because I'm a Prime member, and they're adding a bunch of books to Prime members as well. I think they opened up like 1,000 more books to people with a Prime subscription.
Oh, I didn't know they did that at all.
Yeah. They had a limited number, I think, before, and now it's significantly more.
It's the Kindle lending library for Prime.
I think you still have to have an actual Kindle. That was the old thing. Like, I don't have just a dedicated Kindle, so I can never do it. But if you have a Kindle, you can get a lot more. You can borrow a lot more books for free with Prime now.
Gotcha.
Which is funny because they're also having a huge problem over in Asia where they ended up giving out a lot more books for free than they intended to and are now putting a cap on it. It's kind of funny that they're doing both at the same time.
Yeah, so it's actually a good notice if you if you have Amazon Prime, do Twitch Prime, and can you subscribe to us? Do we have the? I don't know if you can do that or not.
I don't know the answer to that.
Probably
either.
not. I guess we're not really a partner. But just link your account so you get the benefits if you're already paying for Prime.
Fair enough. One more story. Firefox eating your SSD story. This is an update from Scott that he posted. What is the update really referring to here, Alan? Because the original post was from like a few weeks ago of Firefox performing excessive writes on SSDs. Has that changed, gotten better?
It hasn't changed. I did some toying around with it on the writes, and like I did some capturing of what the writes were, because I thought, oh my goodness, if that's more of a random write, it might actually be even worse than what those guys are saying, because random writes give you like write amplification effect. So if you wrote, say, 5 gig worth of more random data, the flash actually sees a multiple of that, as far as like what gets written to it versus what the host was writing. But I did some captures, and turns out that most of those chunks that are being written are sequential, which is the least, like, it's the nicest on the SSD is when you do sequential writes. But I didn't have, like, I wasn't seeing the same amount of writes, but maybe I just didn't have as many tabs open, or
That doesn't seem like you.
well, it's not only if you can't like open up a whole bunch of like Google pages, like home pages or something, because it's saving the content of the tabs in Firefox. So if you have some really content heavy pages open, then that magnifies and amplifies like how much of that data gets written in that file, because it's basically a dump. I think it's 15 seconds was the default or something like that. Every 15 seconds, it's dumping basically everything that's saved in the memory, all the memory contents of like what all was loaded on all of those pages. It's basically combining all of those pages into one file that gets overwritten every 15 seconds. That's the part that's really doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you make it do that as opposed to... Why
wouldn't you append?
Well, not just append, but if your system's idle, you're not like... If the page isn't refreshing, none of that has changed since the last 15 seconds, why are you going to rewrite all of that stuff?
So you has it.
But yeah, I get it. But like, why, nothing changed. Like, don't even do the update. It doesn't make sense. But
yeah,
I don't know. I'm still kind of looking into it as far as like trying to come up with some numbers or some kind of a proportion or something. But I have a feeling that now that this is as visible of a problem as it is, I think Chrome and Firefox are both going to make some change reasonably, probably like the next release or something, I would guess. Because you can at least make it so that it doesn't do it as often.
True.
I know it's annoying, because then if you just opened up 5 pages and then something crashed, potentially you didn't save, the fact that those pages were open. Because that's part of the purpose of that file is so that Firefox crashes, you relaunch it, it pulls up the same tabs you had open before, or if you just close it and you have it set to reopen the same tabs.
Yeah, but it wouldn't need to save the contents of the tab.
That's what kind of baffled me.
Yeah.
Unless, like, I don't know, Ryan really likes to be able to see the contents of stuff when he's not necessarily connected, right? With his sunglasses on.
The hands out of view.
Yeah, he is muted.
Am I?
Yeah, you are.
now?
Yep.
If we're talking about on a laptop, I mean, yes, I would like all of my, when I turn on my computer, all the things the web page I open should be there. Yes.
Yeah. Like, well, what Firefox does now is that even if it was crashed or closed, when you first reopen it, like, you get all of the contents of all those tabs without it even hitting the internet. Like, I think it refreshes them, like, after that, but, like, it will come back up with the contents that were there. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I could see it being handy for maybe, like, if you had forms filled or stuff like that. That would be nice, but I just don't see why you really need just a whole dump of every single contents of all tabs every 15 seconds.
I got nothing.
I mean, it's just like, if you're going to do it every 15 seconds, just do, like, a list of the URLs that it's open or something. Like, don't go writing megabytes of data every 15 seconds. Just write, like, a kilobyte every 15 seconds. That's really all it needs for, like, you can even write it more often if it's such a small amount and still cause no problems.
Indeed.
Yeah.
All right. I guess that's it. We'll get into our hardware software picks of the week. Mine is...
Hold on. There's something Jeremy probably wants you to talk about.
Oh, wait. What?
Did we talk about the...
People just adding stuff to the show notes without telling me.
No, the fragging frogs?
We
Or
already
was that
talked about
added?
that.
We opened up with that.
Sorry.
You should
All right. Yeah.
VLAN 14, October 29th, 10 a.m. Be there or be square.
Indeed. Picks of the week. Mine is super simple, guys. We already talked about it a little bit, so I'm not going to harp on it here. It is currently out of stock on Amazon.com. It is the Logitech C922 webcam, $99. I guess keep an eye out for when it does come back in stock. It has a cute little tripod on there that I'm currently using. It's sitting on top of a box.
They don't have it in the pictures
nice.
on there. Oh wait, or doesn't the
X
Amazon
was the one without
The Amazon
Yeah.
doesn't come with one.
Yeah, the Amazon version is without the tripod.
So the Best Buy version has the tripod. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's so weird that they would not include a piece of hardware with one model. I don't know.
I don't disagree. I mean, look, this little mini tripod here is $6.99 on Amazon. So if
Yeah.
it's important, then do that. And it is kind of handy to have, honestly. Although, it's got its own like little kickstand and stuff, like not a kickstand, but like its own kind of base on there already.
You never know when you're going to need a tripod for a little webcam action. So
Sometimes you just need
For
to
for a little
get things
hands-free
set up
webcamming.
quickly.
Yeah.
That's right. Looks like the Mets are one out away from being erased from baseball. So that's good news.
Good.
Actually, I don't like either of those teams. I hope I had permission from the MLB to report on that. Otherwise,
Oh no.
the whole website's going to be taken down. Jeremy, what do you got for us?
Oh, a wonderful reason to be an adult, because you find deals like this and you have to pick it up.
Holy crap.
What if I've done a?
What's that in real money?
Make you holla.
Look it up
it's
on
out of
US Amazon,
stock
Alan.
for you losers.
Oh,
Wait a minute,
Apparently,
how
they're
does it-
making a new one, so they've slashed this one. And if you scroll down, you'll find out my only dilemma. Do I just buy this one at 45, or if you scroll down to frequently bought with,
Uh-huh. Oh.
you get them both for $74.
So does this thing take off vertically?
I'm sure.
Does it act like a drone and hover?
Probably
See,
a
I'm looking
VTOL
at it
jet.
and I'm not 100% sure, but I have a feeling that essentially it's underneath,
Oh, I guess.
and the fins in the front aren't just for steering, but are also for a guard for the propeller.
Yeah. It's just those props are awfully close
Yeah.
together for it to do any kind of like hover.
Yeah, there's no way that it would work that way, and the ducting in the back and doesn't make much sense either, but I've got an easy way to find out how it works.
You're gonna get
You
one.
buy one.
Yeah. And the Falcon is cheaper. It's got the obvious propeller in the middle, but it's for indoor use only. It's a tiny little thing. But
Oh,
still.
it's just a
very
single. It's just a single
Nice.
prop.
But I mean, it's $28. Come on.
Huh.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fun.
Ryan probably already owns it.
Not me.
No. All right.
You have to spend a bit more, but there's
Hang
some
on a
impressive
second.
ones on .com.
Some damn kids running down the hallway. If they wake up my child, I swear to God.
Spoken like a true parent.
Swear to God.
You'll beat them with a tough book.
Yeah. He's got a weapon.
First of all, it's not a tough book. It's from Dell.
Yeah.
Oh,
Get the
sorry.
branding right. But actually, yes, this would make a fantastic bludgeoning device. Anyway,
It
in other
wasn't
news-
violence. It was benchmarking, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Who's up next?
Me, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, so this is, BCI, Ventura have been around for ages as speakers. Usually they have some pretty mid-range stuff, but back in, I
Is
believe...
this one amazing?
It is amazing. Back in 1994, I bought one of these, of essentially the same model. I still use it today. It still sounds pretty good. For $123 with free shipping. It's kind of a deal. And hopefully they have not changed the construction too much. But yeah, that was about the same price back then.
It's just a center channel.
Yeah, it's just a center
You
channel.
need,
So
you
if
need
you're
some
building,
more speakers.
What?
You need some more speakers with that.
He just bought all center channel speakers and just has them all over his house.
Exactly. Works really.
I wanted
really
a balanced sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, and then they're all coil matched and everything. So
Hey, there
just
you go.
do that and you'll be happy. Now, if you're building a surround sound system and you need a center speaker, something to look at. I've had mine for ages, and it just is a beast.
There you go.
22 years of use.
That's impressive.
It survived
Alan,
two
do you
children.
have speakers to recommend?
I do not. Do
Do you have nubbins?
Nope, no nubbins.
How is this product specific?
What? Anyway.
Timer.
What do you mean how is it's yeah, but it's a timer that works different than like a regular timer would.
How so?
Because this one will cut off at a time that you specify, and then 1 minute later turns on your modem, and a minute after that turns on your router.
Ah.
Okay, so it's a staged boot.
Okay, this makes more sense now.
Yeah. It's staggered reboot of your equipment, and it does it every day at the time that you set. So, like 4:30 in the morning or something.
Do you have to schedule it, or can you just hit reboot?
I mean, well, I don't know if there's a button that will just tell it to do it
That's
right
all I
then.
want. Like, I don't want to schedule it. It's
Oh.
just if something breaks, I want to have a button so I don't have to unplug stuff and plug it in a certain order.
But here's the thing, like, I mean, I'd have something kind of go flaky after several days or a week and a half or something, whatever, and then that's the point where it's like, oh, great, the modem's acting up, let me go reboot it. And of course, the modem doesn't even have a power switch, so you have to, like, literally unplug it, plug it back in, right? Well, if this thing is just doing everything for you every day, the likelihood of you needing to reboot those things is pretty low.
Yeah, but I don't know. There's something about rebooting both those devices every day that they certainly don't manufacture to be rebooted every day, and they don't architect the cable modem
right.
network to be everything rebooted every day.
But if power gets interrupted from this thing, in other words, if you just unplug that box and plug it back in, because hey, I want to reboot my stuff right now. Instead of unplugging your router, unplugging your modem, whatever you're going to do, just unplug this box, plug it back in.
Oh,
It has a battery backup, and whenever power does come back, it also staggers the boot.
Not bad.
So, like, if your power went out at your house, you don't have to worry about, like, how your thing's booted up or if anything acted flaky because of it, because it does it the same way every time, right? I mean, it does its job. Like, I haven't had to do a manual reboot of any of my stuff that's in my basement. That's usually a pain in the butt. I have to go down there and, like, reboot a router or something that hung.
They got a surge protector in there?
I don't think so.
Oh, well. Even still, I mean, for that price, though, that's reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, it's reasonably cheap. I was looking around for something that was like, had some kind of like network boot, but then I realized, well, the thing that you're trying to fix is the thing that you should have just rebooted earlier anyway. And if it wasn't working, then you couldn't even get into your network to tell the thing to reboot your network.
Yeah, net reset with Wake on LAN. I don't know. Yeah.
So this, it just seems to have solved a problem, like a potential problem for me. And I put this thing in like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I haven't had to do manual reboots and stuff.
All this does is make me angry that a thing like this has to even exist in the first place.
That's true. I'll grant you that.
To be honest, routers have gotten a lot better about this.
Routers are a lot better.
Oh, yeah.
I had my router doing soft reboots every night anyway.
Why?
Just
It shouldn't be necessary. You move the bits from here to there, and that's it.
Yeah, but there's like memory leaks and like other kind
Route
of
the
stuff.
thing.
Yeah, but like, do you ever shut off your computer?
No.
Almost never.
No.
I reboot
What are you,
my
mad?
router more than you reboot your PC.
No, but here's what I noticed on the router, which was specifically the reason that I got this, was sometimes like the radios and there's other hardware in your router that when you do a soft reboot doesn't reboot,
Yeah.
like does not reset.
It'd
Is
be
there-
like turning your iPhone off every night before you plug it in and turning it back on.
Yeah.
You'd be a crazy person.
Well, true, because iPhones tend to be reliable enough where, you don't have to do that typically, right? I mean, any phone these days, but, routers.
I did reboot my
Not so
iPhone
much.
this week. Because one notification showed up at the top of the screen and one showed at the bottom unreadable.
At the bottom of the screen?
Like there was like a 3-inch gap between the two notifications in the list. So I just rebooted the phone. In any event, Sebastian, what is your pick of the week? Is it to power reset your speakers?
It is not, but it concerns, like, you could use speakers with it.
All right.
It's for the living room or any room where you have enough space. This is a fixed frame projection screen. And there's a couple different kinds. If you're looking on Amazon for projection screens, you can find them for as little as like $40 or $50. And the cheaper ones are like a old school window shade where you just pull them down. Mm-hmm. They're always wrinkled.
You get that pencil with it?
Yes, the pencil comes with it to show you what color the screen material is.
Oh, they're not trying to tell you can write on it with a pencil?
Unfortunately,
Well,
I think you can write on it with a pencil, which would be really bad.
Oh, okay.
Julian,
Well, you
will
have a
figure that
small
one
child,
out.
so
Yeah. It'll be crayon.
So if you're looking at cheaper screens and you see that this one is like almost $200, you're like, well, that's really expensive, but it's a fixed screen, and that is not expensive at all for a fixed screen. These are the kind of screens that pro installers, will put for like a $3,000 to $5,000 screen in your home theater room. It's fully tensioned. There are rods you put in behind. It's like an aluminum frame. There are tension rods that hold the screen really tight. And when you're done building it, as I did last week, it looks absolutely flawless from the front. There are no wrinkles at all. So I struggled whether I'd recommend either a cheap projector or this screen. And the screen is fantastic. And if you're watching the video, you can see it comes all the way up to 175 inches. You can buy yourself a giant screen for the living room. And projectors have gotten so bright that you can buy a projector, just a home entertainment projector, nothing fancy. Refurbished ones from Epson go for between $350 and $400 on Amazon.
Is the material in this screen like very highly reflective of the light anyway? So it kind of...
No, well, you can get different gains. Gain of 1.0 on a screen means no gain, basically. So there's the 1.0 gain gray, which is better for improving contrast in a room where you can't make it totally dark. And then there's the standard white one that I link to, which is 1.1 gain, which gives you a little bit of extra light. So it does boost the output of your projector to have more gain. Like 1.3 and 1.5 gain screens are common for, like, I just want this to be my TV in the living room, and I'm not really going to have a dark room.
Sure.
And it can give you a lot better brightness out of a dimmer projector. But projectors now, like, there was one I just looked at. It's only 720p, but for a home entertainment projector where you're just like throwing it down on the table and projecting onto a wall or playing video games on it at a friend's house or something, it's 3,000 lumens of light output, which is 3 times what these projectors could do like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And in a completely dark room, like in a movie theater, you only need about 400 to 500 lumens, and to do about a 100-inch screen. So when you have 3,000, it's uncomfortably bright in a dark room. You have to turn it down, and it actually looks like a normal TV in a bright room. So it's a good time to be living if you like really, really big screens and don't have a light-controlled environment.
Sweet.
Have you given that projector back yet, by the way?
I haven't had to give the projector back yet. It has to go back soon.
And the neighbors love it if you have a Ron Jeremy habit and wide open windows.
Yeah, you gotta open the blinds up for sure.
That's why you get
Yeah.
the room darkening blinds, Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Josh speaks from experience.
No, I already
Come
had
on,
those
just
for
think
other
how big
reasons.
it could be if you projected on the neighbor's house.
But these things are great for projecting onto buildings.
All right, let's wrap this guy up. I guess that's it for everybody. PCPro.com/podcast. Go to that URL. You could find all the ways to subscribe to the RSS, get the video files, get the video downloads, find all the show notes and links to all the crap we talked about on today's episode. And we'll be back next week with more stuff to talk about. And maybe we'll have some update on the church, too. We seem to be close to getting internet up and running, and thus shelves,
Almost.
and thus moving.
Should just be
So
2 more visits left before we can have it.
just 2 more stops. Yeah, it should be great. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time. I'm Ryan Schraub.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
I'm Alan Mamatano.
And I'm Sebastian Peak.
Oh, that's not Sebastian Peak.
Close enough.
Oh.
Hold on. Try it again. Here we go. Now say it.
And I'm Ryan Trout.
There you go. Perfect. Perfectly done.